Hi, in this presentation I'm going to show you how to select part of a photo using the mask and sharpen it, and I'm also going to show you how to blur so that you can create the effect of a shallow depth of field. So I'm going to use this picture of a stork that I took while I was at Marwell Zoo. So Control 0 just makes it fill the page. And it's quite dark, as you can see, so the first thing to do is to just change the adjustments, the brightness, and just make it a bit brighter. You can play with the contrast as well if you want. Actually, I'm going to leave it where it was. Okay, so the next thing you can do is if you click on the brush here, and click on this one at the bottom that looks a bit like a camera, and then if you just click and drag, you get this red effect, which is creating a mask, a bit like when you if you're using a spray can and you mask off with masking tape certain areas that you don't want to be affected by the paint. This is the same. You're going to mask off an area of the photograph and you're going to create the effect that you want to the rest of the image. So what I'm going to do is just select the whole of the stork here and then fill in these bits. If you want to, you can make the brush slightly bigger just by clicking over here. Make the brush a bit bigger, or make it a bit quicker. And when you're at the edges, you should really take your time over this. I'm doing it quite quickly just to show you. But you really want to take your time and do it as well as you can. Okay, so we've got that so far. Now if you zoom in by clicking on the magnifying glass, you can zoom in. Actually you can see where I've gone over the edge of the stork here. So if you click on the rubber and just very carefully go along, again I'm holding down and clicking and dragging, and what you should see there, it rubs out the bits that you don't want. So if you zoom in more and use a very small brush, you can actually go pixel by pixel and make this perfect. But just to show you, that's the idea. Okay, so if you do Control 0 again, it'll zoom back out. Notice I've forgotten to do the legs, so I'm going to click back on the brush. This time the legs are quite thin, so make the brush smaller. There we go. And then just select the legs and the feet. There we go. It's quite tricky. Like I say, I would take time over this and it pays off. There we go. Once you've got the whole of your subject masked off, what you do is you click back on the one at the bottom here, and as you can see, you've got dots all right around the edge and you've got dots around the image. That means that the background there is selected. So actually what you want to do is do select inverse, and now the stork is selected. So that is selected. So the first thing we're going to do is sharpen that just to make it a bit better, and also we can now increase the brightness of just the stork, because I still think the stork is slightly dark. There you go. So if you can lighten the stork, and as you see, we've masked off the outside, so that's not affected. Then we go Filter, Sharpen, Unsharp Mask, and you can click and drag to sharpen and get this image much sharper. So if you want to have a look at the head, see, click on the head, just drag it slightly, and I would do it a little bit at a time. If you go too far, you see it becomes too much and you see pixels that you don't want and it just gets messy. So you've got to be very careful and just do it slightly as best you can. You could also play with the radius here just to make it as nice as you can. Something like that. I wouldn't bother with the threshold. Okay, so when you're happy, click OK. Now we're going to work on the background. We're going to blur the background even more, although it's slightly blurred here, just to show you. So select inverse again, And this time we're going to do a blur filter. So blur and then Gaussian blur. And again, if you click and drag, you can see what effect it has. So that is way too far to the right. So if we go back to the left, you've got to try and make it look realistic. Okay, but what you're doing is you're highlighting the subject and bringing it out so it looks like shallow depth of field. Click OK. Now to stop things being selected, you can do select, deselect. There's your image. So the stalk is much crisper, much more in focus. Background is blurred. That's the effect we're looking for. Again, that was just an experiment, so you can play around, and I would take as much time as you can over the stalk or whatever subject you're doing to get this edge perfect before you start sharpening it. Finally, as always, you can do, in fact you don't need to flatten the layer because over here we've only got background layer, so you can just do File, Save As a JPEG. There we go. That's it. I hope that was useful. As I always say, please subscribe and you'll get more tutorials as they become available. Okay, thank you.